WANJradio.com. Area weather. Temperatures are set to plunge starting Thursday morning and remain in the 20s with teen temperatures overnight through Friday. Warmer temperatures are expected this weekend with rain and a high in the low 50s on Sunday. I'm Rob Bell. Have an awesome day, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Green Room. Another day, Tuesday, 5 p.m., and some interesting topics as we always have here. It's going to be a fun night tonight. We should have a lot of people listening in here. I think it's a subject that everyone is interested in. Well, maybe not everyone, only in my world. But this should be fun and informative, because I think really needs to be talked about. And the subject is marijuana and the legalization of it and the medical marijuana, what's absolutely is happening in PA and in New Jersey right now. And I happen to be a benefactor of that medical marijuana. So we will talk. My guests today are Audrey and Kevin Byrnes. And Audrey's let me see if I can get this right, member of the ACNA, American Cannabis Nurse Association. Going to have to explain that.
I certainly will.
And Kevin is a lawyer, I imagine, and deals with these subjects and can really, I really going to feel this very important to know what's good and what's not. But at any rate, how you doing?
Good. Thank you, Vinny, for having us tonight.
Oh, this is great.
It's good to be here.
And I agree, this is an important topic to talk about and bring awareness to the public and destigmatize it, because there's a lot of benefits other than just getting high. Everyone knows marijuana for the THC component,
Right.
but not the medical component.
Right. Well, I learned a little bit about that when I went to a counselor there, and I was amazed at how it's broken down. Just so many different things. I mean, he had like 18 individual buds that do all kinds of things, and it was really neat, really kind of interesting. You know, do you want to have you want to relieve your pain? You know, do you want to do you want to sleep? You know,
Right.
Anxiety. I mean, all these things that really are helpful in this. And I guess in a way, it's helped people, and they didn't even know it. You know.
Well, let me say, Vinny, that who should be listening is any physician who is prescribing opiates.
Yes.
There is an opiate epidemic
Yes.
in this country, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in the industrial belt. And we went to a seminar on opiates and opiate addiction, and we were informed that 10% of people who encounter any type of surgery, minor surgery, whatever, become addicted to opiates.
Yes.
And the difficulty is an easy slide from opiate pills into heroin, because heroin is much less expensive. People can't afford the prescriptions, and so now there's a heroin epidemic, and a cannabis offers a less harmful alternative. When you look at nobody has died from a cannabis overdose, and you can't say that with respect to prescription medications and opiates. So there's a real
And addiction too. It's less addictive, or maybe
Well,
it's habit
and less
forming.
harmful
Yeah.
and toxic to the body.
Right.
well, there's no established physical addiction
Right.
with cannabis, as opposed to the opiates.
Right.
So it's a good opportunity, and the difficulty is, as Audrey says, is stigma, and that's why we're here, because it's really about re-education, understanding how do we even get here.
Right. Right.
Where it got all enmeshed with alcohol prohibition, and then it carried over.
Right.
And it really wasn't until 1992 that the endocannabinoid system was even discovered.
Right.
And physicians.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I always thought that they were discovering this stuff and investigating this for years, but I guess they hadn't been. I mean, it's been around since.
Well, that would be great if they can reclassify, the schedule and have it be researched more. That would be the step in the right direction, because another seminar we went to, there's a lot of great seminars going on right now in Pennsylvania, because they're getting prepared to be ready for their dispensaries and the whole program to be open by 2018. So Philadelphia is really the hub of the medical community in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of universities, medical universities, and there was a presentation on studies that are being done on mice. Mice having joint replacements, having addiction to pain medication. Yes, to find out how the marijuana helps them get through.
Well, how do we know? If they lay down on the couch.
Actually,
it was very interesting. It was all presented by researchers and scientists, and they had their whole study, presented. And, basically how they determine the pain is by how they walk. So if they had a joint replacement on their leg, they had a weight-sensitive floor.
Right.
So they could tell by how much weight they distribute. Was it distributed evenly, lopsided? So they could tell if that's how they were grading the mice pain.
Right.
But we need to test humans, not mice.
Yeah. On point that you were saying before about the addiction, a friend of mine just recently, after hearing that, I was able to get the card. He has a lot of pain. He had replacement of his knees and his back discs worked on, and he's always in pain. And I said, well, if you really want this, go check it out. And he did. And he called up his doctor, and his doctor said, well, I could give you OxyContin. And he says, I don't want OxyContin. I don't want to have an addiction to that, And he has a very addictive nature. So that's exactly what you were talking about, And so I told him, go to another doctor, go to a pain doctor. And
what he would need to do is he'd actually need to go to a cannabis physician, and what I mean by that is that you just can't go to any physician, and a physician will write you a prescription. It's not how it works.
Right.
That there are no prescriptions, there are only recommendations, and only 1%, approximately 1% of New Jersey physicians have signed on board to write recommendations. So that it's very likely that the physician only had the opiate remedy available.
Okay.
And because unless the doctor specifically signed up, and most don't, almost none of them do, then that option is not available. So one of the reasons that we're here is to, again, it's about education. Let doctors know, because the endocannabinoid system was not discovered until 1992, and many physicians attended medical school before 1992. And in fact, there is no academic training. For the first time, Thomas Jefferson is going to offer academic training for physicians, pharmacists, and nurses on the endocannabinoid system. All this is new.
Right.
It's kind of bubbling up from the ground, because the people who are getting the benefits are insistent upon it, especially parents with children.
Yes.
Are insistent upon getting access to plant medicine.
This is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and
it really is.
As in Pennsylvania, since the program isn't up and running, it is available for children under the age of 18 to be enrolled under the Safe Harbor letter in Pennsylvania. So right now, Pennsylvania has 126 minors that are enrolled in the program. And what they have to do is go out of state to get their medicine,
Amazing.
and they can bring it back
Out of
Yeah.
what state is that?
in Pennsylvania.
I thought Pennsylvania was legal.
Well, they are, but they're not up and running. They don't
Not
have
for young
grow
kids.
facilities. They
Yeah.
don't have dispensaries.
Uh-huh.
And so the safe harbor letter allows just minors only to be participating in the program now. And the bulk of them are really using it for seizure disorder.
Right.
And, the bulk of the conditions covered, Pennsylvania has 17 conditions. The bulk of them are neurological related.
And they find that marijuana helps in many situations.
Yes.
Sanjay Gupta, I think, did a program on that just not too long ago about helping and seeing. I mean, he was like on his own journey into this thing, and he saw how much it helped. So I think he's backing it up too,
Yeah.
which is big.
So with this program all coming out, as a nurse, I felt like I had knowledge deficit. I mean, if I did a care plan on myself, knowledge deficit is what I would give myself because I was never taught the endocannabinoid system in nursing school. And this is not taught in medical schools,
Right.
pharmacy schools. So when I learned that there is a nursing organization called the American Cannabis Nurses Association,
I never heard that.
I was really surprised.
I got to tell my wife.
Right. So
She's a nurse.
the organization has been established, and they offer online education on the endocannabinoid system. And for those who don't know what this word is, this is how marijuana works physiologically in our bodies.
Right.
So every human, animal, we have an endocannabinoid system. We have receptors in our body, and that's how the marijuana or the cannabinoids react in our body. So since I'm a member of the ACNA, this is my goal for 2017. I'm going to take the online education program,
Right.
and it's a 12 credits, and that's more than what the doctors in Pennsylvania are going to be required to take to become recommenders. So the doctors are going to have a 4-hour class to become a recommender. They don't actually prescribe, but there's a lot of information that I still need to learn as a medical professional to understand how this is working, how is it affecting the patients.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. What to
so-
look for.
Right.
Who is eligible for it? I guess. Yeah.
Right.
What do they judge now? Who's eligible for it now? Just on, I guess, in PA. So.
In PA, there's 17 conditions. Most of them are neurological, like multiple sclerosis, seizure disorders. There's gastrointestinal disorders, Crohn's disease, chronic conditions, pain. So one thing different between New Jersey and Pennsylvania is there's a generalized category of pain coverage in Pennsylvania, where in New Jersey it's very limited to like a musculoskeletal spasticity disorder. And right now in New Jersey, they did have a window of opportunity to have petitions submitted for the conditions to be expanded. So I did just see that there's about 45 petitions that were sent in with new diagnoses that people want added to the New Jersey program.
Wow.
And a lot of them are individual categories of pain, which rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis. So if they would just put a generalized category of pain, it would eliminate probably 30 of those petitions. So, hopefully there'll be some expansion.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's interesting that when they expand conditions, through the FDA, there was a requirement of double-blind studies, but this is not regulated by the FDA. So the issue is now, how do they expand? And it's interesting what they do is they take a hybrid approach. So for example, a state like Maine that's had a program in place for years, what they do is they take half from double-blind studies, most of it from overseas, because there's restrictions in terms of funding studies in the United States. And they also take half from anecdotal reports, which ordinarily the medical establishment does not recognize as legitimate as grounds or basis to expand conditions. So patient feedback is critical in terms of the potential expansion of conditions in New Jersey. And as Audrey pointed out, what's really different between the two programs is the fact that in New Jersey, pain has to be attached to a recognized medical condition that's documented. In Pennsylvania, intractable pain can be a standalone condition, does not have to be attached. So, for example, migraines would qualify in Pennsylvania, but would not qualify in New Jersey.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it kind of makes it difficult for people to travel because it's not recognized in the other state. If you don't live in that state, then you're not eligible when you go somewhere else. So
that's a
hopefully
drag. I mean,
yeah.
if I was to travel to, North Carolina, that's not happening there, right?
I'm not sure. I think there's
or any place
25 states. So like half of the country has medical marijuana programs.
But there's a real shortage of reciprocity. Only a few states, not many, offer reciprocity. New Jersey's not one of them. Pennsylvania's not one of them. So just going across the border, is not good. New York is not one of them. At a minimum, we should have at least tri-state
right
cooperation.
What happens to you when you go across the border? Like if I was to go to a state that didn't have it, they're not going to recognize if I'm carrying. Are they going to prosecute me or give me a summons or whatever?
Yes, you wouldn't be treated any differently than anybody else who possesses it unlawfully in that state.
Wow, that's intense. That's
right,
really
and that's where the decriminalization would benefit. So many people. A person isn't arrested for carrying around their Vicodin, so. Right.
Absolutely. Like if I was to go to Colorado, could I take stuff on the plane?
No.
You can't go on a plane with marijuana.
No, you can't.
Still.
You can't cross state borders. Because it's only legal in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, but it's illegal in the state of Colorado also.
Yeah, but it's legal according to state law. So
it would be like going into the ocean. If you go into the ocean, you're nobody's body. There's no law on you. But in the air, it's different, I guess.
Well, it's a problem because it only recognizes Colorado, for instance, only recognizes that Colorado residents can apply for and get a medical cannabis card. Same with New Jersey. So if you have a New Jersey card, you go to Colorado. Colorado does not recognize New Jers's card, and vice versa. So there is no, there are a few states. I think Arizona might be one. There might be one or two states that offer reciprocity, but you'd have to take a look at it. They're in the minority, not many.
See, and this is also something else that's important. A patient, if they go to the hospital and they're in the medical marijuana program, they are not allowed to use their medicine while they're in the hospital. So that's another issue as well.
Say that again?
Right. Hospitals are not allowing marijuana in the hospitals, the medical marijuana. Yeah. And there was an issue in New Jersey, a woman who was in the hospital, she had her medical card, had her medical her medicine with her, and it was confiscated, and it took a couple of months for her to get it back. It was sent to the police station. There was all kinds of issues with it not being located, and she persisted and finally got it back. But I heard California, there might be one hospital that made a private policy for their hospital that would allow use in the hospital, but primarily, like a general rule is it's not allowed in the hospital, right?
Go California, I tell you. They break a lot of boundaries.
Right. Yeah.
Break the ceiling, as we've heard.
Well, there may be legitimate issues pertaining to smoking, but let me say that you can also use edibles.
Right.
In New Jersey, you have to make your own edibles. They
Right.
don't have edibles in New Jersey, but
beautiful
you can certainly make your own edibles. And the other option, of course, is what's known as vaping. What vaping allows is allows you to extract the benefits, the 111 cannabinoids, out of the botanical without the botanical burning, without combustion. So therefore, you do not inhale the carcinogens from the smoke,
Right.
and you just get the health benefits.
That's very cool.
So I can certainly understand in terms of restrictions pertaining to smoking, but I'm not sure those restrictions should apply to homemade edibles or even for vaping, for that matter.
Right. That's true.
And that's a good point, because all states that have medical marijuana have different forms available. So where Pennsylvania, when they become up and running, they are not having any flower. There's no actual flower product. It's going to be emollients, extracts, and that's something that where you're concerned children are using the products. Are they smoking? Are they vaping? But no, most of them are using an emollient, like a drop in the mouth, or you rub it topically.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense too. I mean, that's a way you take a lot of naturopathic stuff and homeopathic stuff just by drops. So this is an herb. So it could be taken with a dropper.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
And when you do extract with the oils, they're much more potent than the flower. So the flower may contain maybe a top, maybe 25, 28% THC concentrate, where the oils can go in the range of 50% plus. So the oils that will be available in Pennsylvania, in all likelihood, will be significantly more potent than the flower that's available in New Jersey. And also in Pennsylvania, they have an interesting requirement that they do not have in New Jersey, and that is, in Pennsylvania, they're going to require that a pharmacist or physician be present at all times at the flagship dispensary. The 2 satellite dispensaries, you can have nurse practitioners at or physician's assistants, whereas they do not have that requirement in New Jersey, which is kind of interesting, because they do have the oils will have a higher concentration, may benefit cancer patients, people in pain more.
Right.
But at the same time, and Audrey can talk about this, because it's one of the things that she deals with, and that is drug interaction. What is the interaction between a cannabis oil and any prescription medications that patients may be taking? So in Pennsylvania, they're going to have required guidance through a pharmacist, through a physician.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because the medical community, nursing, a big something that we look out for in patient safety is medication safety.
Right.
So we want to make sure, is it the right medication? Is it the right patient? That we have something called the 5 rights.
Okay.
So the right dose, the right patient, the right time, the right route. So
you definitely have to be educated in what is the right. I mean.
So, and that's something that patients aren't very aware of, all the different types of medical marijuana that there are. Just like you said, you went and there's like 18 different kinds. Well, right. There's not just one type of.
Can you talk about some of the difference in the THC and the CBD or CBC, or what is it?
The cannabinoids.
Cannabinoids. Yeah.
Kevin can probably speak that language a lot
there is
better
a
than
level.
me.
There is a, what is it, C something?
Yeah, they have,
C,
I know there's a C in there.
Turns out that THC is only one of 100 and approximately 111 cannabinoids.
Okay.
Cannabinoids,
Oh,
you have
okay.
health benefits. They help protect the body.
Right.
And as Audrey said earlier, the way it actually works is we have molecules, so-called bliss molecules, in the body.
Bliss molecules.
That's what they're called.
I
Bliss
found
molecules.
them.
Yes.
I
Yes,
know
bliss
I've been
molecules.
experiencing them.
But when the body's not functioning properly, when the cannabinoid system is not functioning properly, and these bliss molecules are not plugging into the receptors,
Right.
because mood disorders, health issues, whatever.
Right,
What
right.
happens? What the plant does is it basically mimics the body molecules.
Wow.
So there are two in particular. One is anandamide, and the second is Iraq. The short name is AG2. And basically those two molecules, what they do is they balance. If there's too much excitation, it's really interesting. The pathway is a two-way street.
Right.
So if there's too much excitation,
Right.
it has a settling, calming effect. If there's insufficient, then it has a stimulating effect. That's one of the reasons why it has a different effects on different people. Also, one of the reasons why it affects so many conditions in the body is because the endocannabinoid system is throughout the brain. It's throughout the regions of the brain, the cerebellum and the cortex and the ganglia,
Right.
and the limbic system. So we have CB1 receptors that are located throughout, as well as CB2 receptors in the immune system. Wow. That's one of the reasons why it can impact so many conditions. I think there's a word for it that Audrey has in a medical lexicon, where it has an unintended benefit. A drug or a medicine has an unintended benefit.
Yeah. So when products are marketed, pharmaceutical products, they've researched what are the expected side effects, but occasionally people will have something called an unexpected benefit or unexpected therapeutic benefit. So, that's something important to keep track of as well.
Wow. Now, you're not a doctor, but damn, you know a lot about this.
He wants to be a doctor.
Well,
Do you really?
But here's the thing.
A self-taught doctor.
You could be a counselor. I mean,
Well, here's the thing. I've been a lawyer for quite some time. I've written a couple of law books. I've pretty much at this point in time, at this point in time, I've exhausted what I need to do in law, and this is a whole other area. I don't have the time to go to medical school.
Right.
However, this is the Wild West of medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the whole movement needs people to educate, to become educated, and because there is just Thomas Jefferson's just opening up now. So the only way you can get it is if you're self-motivated.
Right.
You connect with people. We've attended seminars. We're learning the medical language, and Audrey, of course, has a big leg up on that, being a nurse, and it's a fascinating field. And also, as a writer of nonfiction, this is just a wonderful area. Because people need to know. There's going to be a big demand for for digestible information. There's all kinds of information out there.
Absolutely.
But they're going to need people to filter that information, to explain that. So I'm in the process right now of absorbing and gathering. When I was writing in law, they already had the law library. It was already in place.
Right.
Here, I have to put together the information.
It's
a new learning experience. It's a whole other field, and it's fascinating, especially now that we're finding that in the states that have medical cannabis laws, there's upwards of a 35% reduction in opiate deaths. That's just so important.
That is very important.
That's just so, and just people are not aware of that. In fact, we went to a seminar on the opiate epidemic that was offered down in Abington. And there was speakers there who
Hold
had
that
gone
thought,
through that.
because we got to go to a
Gotta go to break.
I'm kind of past that spot, but I can't help it.
No problem.
It's so interesting. All right. We shall be right back with a little bit more on this incredible herb that people have been using for a long time, and now finally getting to know what it's about. Be right back.
I'm Deirdre Anderson with Delish Catering.
And I'm Laura Mangone from Chambers Walk Cafe and Catering.
And we'd like you to join us on Food for Thought, where what do we talk about, Laura? We talk about restaurants, we talk about
Pet
recipes,
peeves,
pet
food.
peeves, bitchy hostesses,
All sorts of food-related items.
all sorts of
Tune
food
in.
stuff, and sometimes not so much food stuff. We go off on segues, but we have a lot of fun, don't we?
Absolutely.
So join us on Food for Thought.
PANJradio.com, 1 o'clock weekdays.
Your business only gets one chance to make a first impression. That's why Green Birdie Productions offers free re-edits on every high-definition video we create. Our Emmy Award-winning staff and green screen special effects studio guarantee the quality we strive for. It's no wonder most of our business comes from referrals. Green Birdie Productions. Compelling video, competitive price.
And the sun goes down upon this river town.
Hi, this is Judith Marchand with PANJ Radio. I'd like to invite you to listen to my new show, Musical Notes, where I will be interviewing different musicians at 8 p.m. every night. Tuesday nights I will have a new musician, and then it will air the rest of the week. We'll be finding out what these musicians are all about and listening to some of their music. So tune in. It's going to be a great show on PANJradio.com.
Hey, this is Pat Foran and
Zach Romano
here at PANJradio.com. When I have time, I'm hanging out here at the studio
with the Shack Radio Boys.
Coming in from London from over the pole, flying in a big airliner, chicken flying everywhere around the plane. Could we ever feel much finer? Coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man.
Yeah! Don't touch my bags. Well, we're having a good time here talking about a subject that's been always a favorite of mine. And, you know, I just really need to know more about it. And, you know, a lot of people, well, obviously, have been doing marijuana for a long time, even though it's illegal. We know that. And as one of those people, I've never experienced, you know, like, I never thought of, okay, well, this is also good for me. I mean, it was always good for me because I always felt good.
Yeah.
But you don't know, you know, what the real results are and what it's doing to your bliss cells.
Right. See, and that's one thing, recreational marijuana versus medical marijuana, you don't know the components of the THC versus the CBD in the street marijuana.
Right.
Where the medicinal marijuana, they're labeled with the ratio. And like what you said earlier, do I want the one that's going to make me go to sleep? Do I want the one that's going to give me energy? So
take away my anxiety, you know, all these things. Yeah.
Right. Right. So maybe Vinny, can you tell us how you how the application process went for you? Like, what can people expect, and how to get into the program in New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of lucky. I have a doctor that I've been going to for like 35 years, and I went in there and I said, I forgot what I went in there for something completely different, but I told him I was having problems with my leg and my Achilles, and he goes, well, you know, I'm a marijuana doctor or whatever. He says I can get you a prescription for it. And I said, well, I also told him I was going to Colorado.
But not carrying across the borders, right?
Right. So he said, okay, well, you know, maybe I can, you know, do you think you would need a prescription? I said, of course, would love a prescription. So it was really his openness. He says, yeah, a lot of people come to me and I give them, well, it fills out the form, I guess.
He's the recommender.
It's actually it's a recommendation because they can't use the prescription language because that's governed by the FDA. So that's why they call it a recommendation.
This is so crazy with the federal government not legalizing it, but the states can.
Well, it's really interesting
so
because
crazy.
it's really kind of the Civil War model in a sense, except that instead of the federal government going to war over states' rights and slavery, the issue is the federal government going to go to war over cannabis? Right. I suspect not.
No. Yeah, who's going to fight on the cannabis side?
Well, and here's the thing too. And I know that a lot of people have criticized the governor, Chris Christie. I know that because I've gone to some of these medical cannabis coalition meetings. But let me say this in his defense, and that is that he was vehemently against it, yet he implemented it.
Yeah, no, well that was confusing to me.
And in fact, New Jersey, has some of the finest medical cannabis establishments, in the country. What it doesn't have, though, it doesn't have the patient base. They had anticipated 50,000 people being enrolled in the program in New Jersey, and right now they're hovering around 9,000.
Well,
so they're well below what they had anticipated, in part because the doctors are not participating.
We have a phone call coming in here, so let me take it.
Vinny, another one.
Hello there, caller.
Hi.
Hi.
Am I on the radio?
Yes, you are.
Listening, and you're at a different time point.
Hello.
Okay, sorry. Hi, I have a couple questions.
Okay, go for it.
I tuned in late, so maybe you addressed this. Forgive me if you already addressed this. When I tuned in, you were talking about youth in Pennsylvania, and I'm curious if they're doing. I realize the medical benefits of it, and I think it's wonderful that they have that pathway for help. But I was wondering if they're also researching these youth to see, any problems down the road, so that when it comes time to vote for generalized legalization, will there be studies available?
Well, that's a great question. I hope they're going to have studies. The only one study it's actually not even a study. I read in the newspaper that Thomas Jefferson in Philadelphia, they were awarded a grant, a private grant, and I don't know exactly what they're going to be researching, but I don't know if it's an actual study. So I really can't say. I can't speak for any studies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be, as a future potential hopeful voter for this, that there'll be information. I hear things like, well, the forebrain's not formed till they're 25. I just heard on the radio, I think today or yesterday, that people under the age of 25 might have problem-solving issues, things like that I don't know if they're, maybe it'll help them. People maybe with ADD, who knows? I mean, whether it's going to be helpful or not helpful to certain populations if it becomes legalized.
I think that's just a terrific point, and that is, yes, it does need to be more research in this country. Fortunately, there is research in other countries. In particular, Israel, there's quite a bit of research, and there's research that's done internationally that can be accessed on the internet. But I think your point is very well taken, and that is that we have to assess, and I think what you're talking about here is we have to balance it out. Just like any medication, there are risks. What are these risks? And that anybody that's considering cannabis as an option, just like you need to know the risk of opiates and addiction, so too you need to know the risk of the risk of cannabis. Even though there might not be any physical addiction, there could potentially be psychological addiction that has to be addressed. Whether or not people are, they've had psychiatric problems in the past, maybe that's an issue as well. So I think your point is very, very well taken, and that's one of the reasons why we don't want to rush ahead. Why we want to take this in a deliberate process.
Right. I would just hope that the youth program. It would be great if they could do some research along with helping the youth at this point.
Are you caller? Are you a nurse?
I am. I'm a nurse practitioner. And my other question, this leads to my other question.
Well, I got a question for you first, if you don't mind. What would you think of going into the field of what is it called again?
The medical cannabis?
Yeah, the ACNA, the American Cannabis Nurse Association. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I suggest for you to take a look at the website and look at the information and the education material that's available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will, and that was my other question. I'm licensed in New Jersey, and I have a controlled drug substance license, a DEA license, and I can write for narcotics, and which I rarely do as a nurse practitioner because I feel like if they need that, the only time I do is if I discharge a post-surgical patient or something. But like
see, it's back to surgery.
Office, I don't prescribe, much opioids or anything to them. But anyway, my question is, for the medical marijuana in New Jersey, actually I'm licensed in Pennsylvania too, but the providers that are writing prescriptions for this, are they physicians? Are they general practitioners? I heard you talking about a course that you can take. Is that for prescribers too, or is it for nurses? Or I'm not sure.
Yeah, in New Jersey, I know that the doctors that are in the program, you have to go to the New Jersey Department of Health website, and that has the listing of the doctors that are in the program,
as well as their area of specialty and the county in which they practice. You can get that right on the website, right on the health website.
So, regular people, not that I'd be interested in doing it because I feel like it's out of my scope. I'm an OBGYN. But if I did have a serious interest in it, would I, can anyone get trained to be a prescriber?
That's up to the state. I believe it's just physicians, and
it would be a recommender because we can't recommender. It would have to be a physician in order to be a recommender. But what you can be in Pennsylvania, however, as a nurse practitioner, you would be one of the people who would be authorized to consult with patients pertaining to specific strains, or whether or not there's any interaction, and they require a nurse practitioner. A nurse will not do. So they do require either a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant. I would suggest what you can do here is check the website, the American Cannabis Nurses Association website. You can also get in touch with Audrey because she is heading up the program in Pennsylvania. And we would love to talk to you further about this because it's really important to talk about nurse practitioners in Pennsylvania because there's a wave coming, and I'm not sure that nurse practitioners are aware of the opportunities that are available for them.
Well, this is a fascinating subject. I appreciate I'm having a great time listening to your show. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, caller.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Wow, that was exciting.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Good call.
There was something I wanted to mention because I just got this New Jersey Nurse magazine in the mail the other day, and there's two articles I want to point out because one is written by Ken Wolski. He's a nurse in New Jersey. He's one of the founding members of the ACNA, and he also is the founder of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey. He is a great advocate for the whole marijuana program. But he did write an article for the New Jersey Nurse magazine regarding PTSD qualifies for marijuana therapy in New Jersey. So PTSD was the first non-physical condition to be covered in New Jersey for the program.
Non-physical?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's, and I believe that's already covered in Pennsylvania. But so yes, nurses can refer to their magazine, and there's also a conference that's coming up in February, and this is where I first learned about the endocannabinoid system, because I did attend the same conference, which is going to be held in February in Princeton, and it's a holistic nursing conference, but there's a lot of discussion about medical marijuana. So this is eligible for 5 educational credits for nurses in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. And this is held at the Princeton, can't find the address. It's at the Princeton Medical Center, and it's February 28th, I believe.
Wow.
So there's another educational opportunity.
Princeton.
Oh, February 18th, University of Princeton, Plainsboro.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's good to know that, people, like you were saying before, there's only 18,000 people using this in the state?
In New Jersey, no, only about 9,000 in New Jersey.
9,000.
And they had anticipated 50,000. Again, I think the bottleneck is a lack of physician participation.
Right.
I mean, bear in
Right.
mind, there's a shadow hanging over this whole
Right.
medical cannabis
Exactly.
industry, and that
Exactly.
is it violates federal law.
Right.
It's a criminal federal offense.
You couldn't do this, like you couldn't have a TV commercial on this.
Yeah, and
Or could you?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that once a former federal prosecutor, Chris Christie, established a program in New Jersey, that in my mind is carte blanche. There's no way the federal government is going to start the civil war over this, especially when you have a former federal prosecutor establishing a program and ensuring that his employees are not going to be prosecuted by the federal government.
Right.
So that there's an implicit understanding. Even though the law hasn't changed yet federally, they're not prosecuting, in part because there's what's known as jury nullification. What that means is, and even in the United States Attorney's Office in Colorado, they had asked him, why are you not prosecuting when Colorado initially went recreation? And he said, because Colorado residents will nullify the law. What that means is that even if the law says it's prohibited, you prosecute the case, the jury still has to convict you. And the jury has either the power or the right, depending upon which academic writer you read. But the jury arguably has the right, certainly the power, to nullify the law. So if they don't want to enforce the marijuana possession law, they don't enforce it. They'll come back with a hung jury. They'll come back with a not guilty. They're simply not going to enforce it.
Right.
The jurors have that authority. So that's one of the reasons why the feds have been resistant to go into these.
Right.
And at some point in time, there's a tsunami, there's an avalanche. I mean, more states now have medical cannabis laws on the books than don't. So, and now you also have money that is into the political realm.
Right.
And that's also influencing policy.
Sure.
So at this point in time, it's just too late.
It's all about the money sometimes.
Well, it's too late. It's really too late to roll back the tide. This is happening. So that people in the medical community need to be aware, because this is happening.
Even with these new congressmen who are and people that Mr. Trump is employed, do you think that they will have they don't want to hear about it? Some of them, I don't know. Would that have
it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with the new administration.
Yeah.
We just have to hope for the best.
Right.
Well, hopefully he'll address more serious issues than starting a civil war over over a plant. I mean, I could be mistaken, but that's the hope.
Yes, indeed, there definitely is a hope. But it's a fascinating thing because it's so new in a sense, just the way it's starting to hit the public. But like I said, people I know, like my friend I was telling you about before, he was almost embarrassed to talk to his doctor about it, like to say, hey, can I get the medical marijuana? And I think a lot of people are like that because of the cloud that's over it. Like if I say that, are they just going to lock me up or check me out or, what?
Well, the thing to do there is to check the website and find a physician who participates. It's pretty simple because the physicians who participate, they understand the benefits. They have patients. The doctors want to get their patients off of opiates. They're looking for opiates on the medical charts.
Right.
They see opiates on the medical charts. You know what? You're getting a recommendation because they want to get you off the opiates.
So now, for me to recommend my friend to go to my doctor, that's an okay thing. It's not like.
That's right. It depends. I think there are certain conditions in which the doctor either has to have a comprehensive exam or there has to have a pre-existing relationship.
Right.
But that's really limited. So I would certainly make that recommendation. That is that your friend talk to your physician and see if the patient qualifies.
And he already might have that in his history. So if there's something already in the medical chart that is in a qualified category.
Right.
But his doctor he's not a recommender.
Right.
He just has to go to the recommender.
With his chart. With his medical record.
Now, another friend of mine who passed away, he went to it. Yeah, so about 3 or 4 years ago, I went with him to see what the whole thing was about, going to the dispensary. And where was I going with this? He
he was trying to get into the program?
No, he had to see like 3 or 4 doctors before he was okayed.
Oh.
And I thought that was nuts. It took him forever to get it. And he seriously needed the pain and the sleep,
Well, New Jersey's program was slow.
Slow at the beginning.
It was
I think there was only a couple of places, and then this place in Woodbridge opened up.
Oh, and then a place in Belmar opened up. And
is there one in Princeton? I had heard.
There's one in Cranberry.
Oh, Cranberry. Yeah. Oh, that's closer to me actually. Yeah, but I'll go to Woodbridge. What the heck? It's a nice place.
Yeah, New Jersey limited it to six dispensaries. And the dispensaries are also grow facilities.
Right. That's what I was surprised when the counselor said, I said, can you grow it in your house? He said, no, we grow it here. I said, oh, very nice. Can I get a job? And he said, no.
Yeah.
He said, no, we don't need anybody right now.
Now in Pennsylvania, in contrast, in Pennsylvania, of course, they have intractable pain as a condition there. Unlike the 6 dispensaries they have here, they're anticipating 150. Dispensaries in Pennsylvania.
Wow!
So they will blanket they will blanket the state in Pennsylvania. So that's why it's really critical in Pennsylvania to get doctors on board, because if you have 150 dispensaries without the prescribing physicians,
they're going to go down the tubes. Really.
It's not going to work. So it's going to be really important.
Why
to get
would they open
physicians
so many at first, or?
Well, they're not necessarily
quite large too.
It is. Yes. They're not necessarily opening up 150, but that's what the law allows, up to 150. So if you have applicants, they can. Right. If everybody wants to invest fully, they can open up 150 immediately.
Who qualifies to open up a dispensary, though?
Well, they have there's a lot of qualifications and
application has to get approved.
Application has to get approved. It's kind of like a casino application. Yeah, highly regulated, very stringent.
Does
you have
the person
who
opens this has to have knowledge of the thing, or can you just open it up and get nurses and doctors or counselors?
they have to get they just can't open it up. You have to apply for a license, and that's a costly process, very, very costly process. I mean, it could cost up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, licensing fees, whatever, with no assurances that you're even going to get a license. You have to spend all that money up. You have to spend all that money up front, and additionally, you have to have money in the account to show that if you do get the license, you can in fact operate the business. So all your money can't simply go into attorney's fees.
Right.
Although attorneys would
But,
like that.
yeah, I can share something that's interesting with my ACNA.
We have like 2 minutes. So
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. It really
Wow,
is.
that flew by fast.
Another show.
Yeah, and we have another show.
So, okay, well, please take a look at the ACNA website, the American Cannabis Nurses Association.org. You can find educational materials, meeting dates. I started hosting a meetup. We meet in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. Our next meeting is targeted for February, so check the website for a date on that. And thank you, Vinny, for having me.
Thank you guys. This is great.
Yeah,
You're going to come back again.
A lot of good conversation.
You got to come back again and let's complete this thing, because I know there's more
a lot
to
of
talk
unanswered
about.
questions.
Right.
There's a lot of information.
And being that it's a learning experience, we're going to have to learn more and more about it.
Well, that's what it's about these days, lifelong learning, isn't it?
Absolutely. Never stop. Whatever direction you're going in.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, thank you so much for being here. And well, it's the end of another In the Green Room. And I just got to try to set this thing up here so we can go away.
We're going away?
Yeah, we're going away.
Oh, no.
Thank you. It was so nice to talk to you. So, Audrey Byrnes.
Kevin Byrnes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Vinny.
you.
Take care. Peace, everybody.